I first started stalking Katie Hopkins when I saw her getting out of a cab on Portobello Road. She was wearing a striped shirt and a black, knee-length skirt like she wore in The Apprentice, and she had a look on her face that suggested she had just had some disagreeable banter with the cab driver, who was working class and probably some sort of Cockney nut job. I saw something in her eyes. It was the powerfully erotic combination of metropolitan independence and self-conscious bigotry. It drove me wild and completely overpowered my natural sense of restraint. I felt compelled to follow her home, and my heart led my body like a dog on a leash. It was not difficult to go unnoticed. I put on my official big issue salesman's jacket, which I carry around with me at all times in preparation for such a situation, and I hounded her all the way down the vacant street, begging for spare change and morsels of bread. I got the impression she was too busy mentally composing another outrageous opinion that would get on Holly Willoughby's tits. I wish I could get on Katie Hopkins's tits. When we arrived at her house, she went inside while I took refuge in a nearby bush. I wish I could take refuge in Katie Hopkins's nearby bush. I watched her through her kitchen window while she prepared duck à l'orange with the help of her husband, who, to be perfectly honest, looked like a bit of a twat. There's no way he loves her financially lucrative brand of media-friendly outrage as much as I do. Since that first day, I have never been more than 50 feet away from Katie Hopkins, except when I have to go to the supermarket to stock up on food and lubricant. I follow her all around London and watch her lady of leisure lifestyle with a voyeuristic relish. I follow her down the aisles of organic delicatessens and through the archways of Michelin-starred haute cuisine restaurants. I follow her into her office on Wednesdays where she pretends to work. I sit beneath her desk and watch her feet dance along to Wagner's Tristan and Isolde, and struggle to muffle my delight. The strangest thing about the whole situation is that I'm not alone. Katie Hopkins's front garden is full of people like me, watching her through a multitude of windows while dressed in the garb of traditional 19th century Victorian street urchins, Glaswegian heroin addicts, and Venezuelan slum boys. More and more stalkers arrive every day. We've constructed row upon row of makeshift shacks, using corrugated iron and the remnants of cardboard boxes, like in the shanty towns of Rio de Janeiro. Desire has thrown us into the cold, poverty-stricken depths of Katie Hopkins's front garden, but our love keeps us warm at night. I think it's the grace and charm with which she generates nationwide media outrage that stimulates a sort of super-sexual frisson for myself and the other 2 or 3 dozen stalkers that she unwittingly hosts in her shrubbery. Many beautiful women have spewed forth reactionary right-wing bile from the gaping bliss betwixt their perfect teeth. Anne Widdecombe, Jan Moyer, and even the late great succubus of misplaced political sincerity herself, Margaret Thatcher, deceased but existing ceaselessly in her erotic legacy, but none have worn the robes of the icy-hearted hate preacher with the same degree of joie de vivre as Katie Hopkins. I have given up everything to be here. I've quit my job, and I haven't seen my wife or my children for 6 weeks. Part of me wishes I could overcome my twisted fetish for right-wing celebrities, but if the eradication of my politically problematic perversions results in the death of my love for Katie Hopkins, then that's a price I'm just not willing to pay.
I'm telling you, it's definitely a turnip.
No way, it's obviously a bit of Swede.
It's not. It's a turnip.
I'm sure it's a Swede.
Oh, I know a Swede from a turnip, Michael. I'm not an idiot.
It doesn't look that way to me. You've just mistaken a Swede for a turnip.
I've not mistaken anything. It's a fucking turnip.
It's not a fucking turnip, for shit's sake. It's a bloody Swede.
Don't be such a wanker. That is a turnip and you know it is, you stupid tit.
Hey, fuck you, you absolute shit stain. That there is a fucking Swede.
It's a turnip.
Swede.
Turnip.
Swede.
Turnip.
Swede.
Oh. It's a baby.
You know, I did think it might have been a baby.
Yeah, I thought there was something funny about its face.
I didn't want to say anything at the time, but yeah, definitely a baby.
Yeah.
So, how long should we put it in the oven for now?
How much do you think it weighs?
I don't know, 10, maybe 12 pounds?
We should probably give it about 2.5 hours in that case.
Sounds about right.
I was baking a Victoria sponge cake with Maisie. I was teaching her how to whisk the eggs when she stopped for a moment and asked me how much a man would have to pay me to punch her in the face. £10,000, I said without hesitating. I am always prepared for a hypothetical. Okay then, said Maisie. And the cupboard under the kitchen sink popped open and a man crawled out, carrying a bag of money in his outstretched hand. I put my hand out to take the bag, but he stopped me. He pointed to Maisie's face. Maisie was very good about the whole thing. After I punched her, I took her out for an ice cream to say sorry, using some of the money from the man's bag. I don't usually let her have ice cream, seeing as it's so bad for her teeth. But if you want to be a good parent, sometimes you just have to know when your kids deserve a nice treat. We had to cancel our family holiday to Mallorca because unfortunately Jane's mother passed away a week before we were scheduled to fly out there. So obviously we were all quite upset and we had the funeral to arrange. I called up Thomas Cook, our travel agent, and told them we had to cancel our holiday. They said it was against company policy to cancel customers' travel and accommodation at such late notice. I told them I wasn't expecting a refund, I just thought it was important to let them know. Once again they told me that the holiday couldn't be cancelled. I didn't understand, and I hung up the phone. On the morning of my mother-in-law's funeral, which was also the morning we were supposed to fly out to Mallorca, we were woken up in the early hours by the sound of our front door being smashed in. 3 men dressed in black balaclavas, wielding assault rifles, barged into our bedroom and grabbed my wife and me. We were taken outside and bundled into a Thomas Cook van, along with our 2 children, followed by our suitcases, hand luggage, boarding passes, an inflatable crocodile with plastic handles attached for swimming, and a copy of the Da Vinci Code. We were taken to the airport and fast-tracked through boarding and customs with their assault rifles pointed against our heads. My wife kept screaming, "Help! These men are forcing us to go on holiday," but everyone just laughed. On board the aeroplane, the men in balaclavas stood in the aisles and watched us closely. My children cried throughout the whole journey. One of the other passengers huffed and tutted at the sound of my weeping children. "It's not their fault," I said to him. "Thomas Cook have kidnapped us and are taking us to Mallorca." The other passengers laughed, and everyone agreed my humorous quip was an excellent way of diffusing the tension on such a difficult journey. Throughout our 2-week stay at the hotel, the armed men never let us out of their sight. Even in the sweltering Spanish heat, they kept their balaclavas on the whole time and pointed their guns at us while we tried to relax beside the pool. Sometimes the men took turns playing with the kids while my wife and I felt tired, which wasn't wholly unappreciated. I think the kids had grown quite fond of them by the end of the trip. We made the most of the holiday, given the circumstances, but to be honest, I'm not sure we'd ever go with Thomas Cook again in the future. What's the rudest word I know? Wow. Suppose that would probably be cunt. Cunt is quite a rude word.